Today we are headed straight into the Dollar Tree and looking for some of these mini little Christmas trees, as well as some wood and classic small little crafty trees, and sharing with you some incredible ways to put these to good use. Okay, I have tons of ways to put the classic Christmas tree to use, but the first thing I wanted to share is how I am using these little crafty trees first thing. I found this wooden bowl at the Dollar General for $6, but if you have a wooden bowl that's larger on hand, you can just attach these trees to a piece of scrap wood and set it down in the container that you want to, even gluing them down onto a cutting board or anything instead of directly to the wooden bowl. But since I got this so cheap, I want to go ahead and make this a permanent setup so that I can get it out from year to year. I had a ton of these small little trees left over from last year. I didn't even purchase any more this year, but saw this really cute idea to attach them to a container and then wrap them with lights. So I do have some of the little responsive lights from Dollar Tree that were super long, so I had to find a smaller pair that I got off of Amazon, but the ones that I get off of Amazon have a timer, so I like those so much better. I'll try to link some down below. Also, I added some pine cones to the edges to really fill this in and make it look more like a wholesome piece and not just trees glued to this, but I think it turned out really, really cute. I was actually getting a little worried. I didn't know if I would have enough lights to wrap these or add as many as I wanted to, but it actually worked perfect. It was just the right size, so it wasn't too long, and since these are smaller, the batteries are going to last so much longer, and hopefully throughout January, because this can be a piece that can last way beyond Christmas. Once again, I had some of these trees left over from last year, so I'm putting those to good use before I pick up any more. I grabbed a couple and then I had a fun idea to use them as vase filler. So I know it's expensive whenever I go to get my larger greenery like this. I'm headed to Hobby Lobby and I'm usually paying $6 minimal for a larger stem, but these trees work great. Just stuff them down in there and then you can stick like one decorative cheaper piece in the front. I love this one with the bell and the berries. It's from Walmart. They have some really good florals for $1 and $2, but I go ahead and add a little bit of chalk paint to these in the background. It's going to have more of a snowy effect and blend in with any greenery that you put in front, so it's not just going to look like cheap green plastic in the back. It's going to give it decorative touches. You could glue berries on here or add some pine cones, but I think it looks really cute and fills up this vase perfectly. While I'm getting a head start on my holiday decorations as well as crafting and DIY projects, I'm also making life a lot easier in the kitchen thanks to HelloFresh for sponsoring today's video. I decided to give HelloFresh another try recently, and I know I've already raved to you guys about it, but I'm so glad I did. Before, I used to skip over some of their meals, even the ones that looked amazing, because I already knew that my kids weren't going to touch them. But now they've got recipes everyone in the family actually looks forward to eating. It's such a great way to sneak in more vegetables and say goodbye to those last minute drive-through trips that cost you way too many calories and way too much money. I love how you can pre-pick your meals. Everything is pre-measured out and ready to go, which saves me so much time. HelloFresh now offers larger portions at no extra cost and even has a quick option that can be ready in just 3 minutes. So if you're ready to save time, cut down on the grocery trips, and make mealtime a little less stressful, this is your sign. Maybe you've even tried a meal kit before and you weren't fully satisfied. Give HelloFresh a second chance. Use my code KBKFM at HelloFresh.com for 10 free meals plus breakfast for life. 1 free meal per box with an active subscription. Free meals apply as a discount on your first box. New or returning subscribers only, varies by plan. Sign up today by clicking the link down in the description box or use my code KBKFM at HelloFresh.com. A big thank you to HelloFresh for sponsoring today's video. Now let's jump back into crafting. So these were some more leftover trees that I had. They didn't match on the packaging, and I got both of them out, and they were 2 different shades. So I do trade that out. And as far as the little feet, I'm just tossing them. I'm not using them on this project, but I needed some kind of like stable greenery to create a gorgeous 3 candle centerpiece. So the first thing I'm doing is going to be attaching these trees together as tight as possible with some zip ties, and this gives me a really sturdy foundation. I am going to go ahead and pull out all of the little branches so that I'm not going to be tying none of them down, and they're going to be able to stand up. And then putting some of this cheap dollar store greenery, this garland, it's just really small and plain and cheap. And I'm going to intertwine it between these branches. Once again, you do not want to tie these really tight around it and tie those branches from the tree down. You want them to be able to poke up to get a higher end look. So I just go ahead, wrap both sides, and then I'll be attaching some of my candlestick holders. So these wood ones that have the larger base are going to work the best for this. I am just hot gluing it directly onto the trees. I noticed that it did want to tilt back and forth a little bit, so I had this great idea to use one of these long, thin boards. They usually put these out for every season. If you don't have the decorative one, you could just use one of Dollar Tree's plain, just raw wood pieces that they always have out in the longer pieces. But go ahead, glue that to it, and it's not going to rock back and forth anymore. Then I can attach my candlestick holders directly onto this garland or centerpiece, just making sure that they are getting glued down really nice and tight. So I do put some pressure on them, and then after these have cooled, I'm going to be putting in the candlesticks. Now I actually have these left over from Halloween. They just say LED taper candles. There's a gorgeous little design on them. They look like they're made really nicely, and they have a fun like glow that doesn't look super fake. So go ahead, just pop those down in there, and then you can start decorating. The more greenery and berries and textures that you add to this, the nicer it's going to look. So I just go ahead and start throwing a ton of things on there. These come from Hobby Lobby, but I think pretty much everything else is from Dollar Tree. These little stems from Dollar Tree really upgraded it. They are such a nicer greenery than the original trees. So sticking them all over it, and then hot gluing some berries on top. I think like displays like this and centerpieces are my favorite to create, because if you go to high-end stores, these cost $35 to $50 minimal, and that's on the cheaper side. So it's a fun way to just use scraps that you have and put it together to create something wholesome and gorgeous. Alright, I thought these tall wooden trees for $5 were really pretty. They are gorgeous as is, and you could leave them just as they are. I just thought these were a little plain, so I am using some of my favorite snowflake shimmery stickers and going to be putting those all over the trees. I started with the larger ones, or the first one I just kind of mixed it in, and the second one I put the larger ones down first and just filled in the spots that needed some. But you can either cut off the excess or just fold them over the edges. They seem to have a pretty good adhesive on there, and this is just adding so much texture and dimension to these without having to get out paint or decorate them really in any way. So easy to just stick the stickers down and just really dress this up so much more. Alright, so here's another fun alternative DIY if you don't want to even purchase a Dollar Tree tree. Maybe you think it's cheap looking, or you just want to create your own with scraps that you have at home. You can take a small little wooden circle. You could use a wooden slice or just a routed out round circle like this one. Both of these items come from Dollar Tree. This is actually one of the toilet/sink plungers. I'm never sure what to call it. I think it's technically a sink plunger, but they just look like toilet plungers, so that's what I've always called them. And I pre-drill a hole and then stick all I had at the time was large deck screws, so I put one through the bottom, but you could just hot glue this and use a smaller screw if you wanted to, but I wanted this to be super sturdy. And then we are making our own tree with some of these little garland ties. You can get a huge pack of these at Dollar Tree, and Hobby Lobby even has like their own set of garland ties, so it would be fun to mix these with the different textures and colors. But I am just twisting them around this toilet plunger. You also could just use a large dowel rod, but sometimes dowel rods get a little bit expensive, especially if they are this wide. But I go ahead and attach all of these, and then you can start trimming them to be in the shape of the tree. And then it's time to start decorating your little tree. I tack these down with some hot glue in the back just to make sure they're not going to fall off or twist around, especially after I get everything decorated. And it already is taking shape and looking like a tree. I add some snow to the branches, and then I'll start wrapping these with a set of mini lights. So this is going to light up of the evenings and look really cozy. How perfect is this little golden star for the top? I glued that on the wood. It has a little sticky adhesive, so I temporarily just stuck it up there, but I do end up hot gluing that down. And then I found these mini little ornaments, so I started by attaching them with the string, but it was too much of a tedious task to sit there and put the string in and tie it to the branch, so I decided to just start gluing them to the branches, and it worked just as well. But these are so cute, just dangling off of the little branches, and then painting the base, and I think this is ready to go. But I think it is a really fun idea. This would be fun to make multiple ones that could set together. Okay, I had this fun idea to use some of the really mini little trees and create a little setting to where they all could be displayed, kind of like a Christmas tree farm. So using some of this wood from the Dollar Tree, I create just like a wooden rectangle, and this is going to be my stand. I'm just hot gluing this. You could feel free to use wood glue or screws in this, or even some little nails, but to go ahead and create the shape I'm going for. I end up staining it with a little bit of a lighter gray stain. This didn't actually soak into the wood as well as I thought it would. It kind of has like a clear coating on it, but it did change the color a little bit. And then putting some of these trees just in a row and attaching a Farmfresh sign to the top, and this looks so cute. It's a perfect little background piece where you could set with things that you don't want everything to be like red and green, but it's like a nice little filler piece that adds height to your decor. Alright, so for this one I did attach the little feet to the tree, and then I'm going to be creating a box to go all the way around it, and this is going to look so much nicer just than seeing the little plastic feet. So once again, using some wood from the Dollar Tree, or you could just use scrap wood that you have at home, but attaching 4 of these together with some tower blocks to give it the extra support. So I knew if I just glued 2 of these together, it was going to be flimsy and it could fall apart. So putting the tower block there gives it extra surface area to attach to. Once again, you could use wood glue for a longer hold. I created 2 of these and then placing them together and just doing the same thing. This fit perfectly together, but sometimes you have to watch the wood that you get at Dollar Tree. So I like to try to set it together at the store and make sure that all the pieces are nice and straight. Attaching it with the tower blocks, letting it cool off, and then I'll start to stain it. Because I wanted this to be really decorative and have more of a finished look, I did add some corners to it with these popsicle sticks. So I just attached 2 at the ends and give it more of a finished look without seeing any of the raw edges. The tree didn't fit down into the box very good, so I took some scissors and cut away the excess little plastic pieces on the feet, and then attached it to this is a leftover wooden pumpkin that I already had on hand, but just anything that would keep it standing up nice and sturdy without it getting knocked over. Now, instead of stain, because I was going to use just my normal stain, I decided to dry brush just brown paint over this. And it actually works better to use paint with a Dollar Tree wood because they usually stick like a clear shellac finish on it, or they do sometimes, and it doesn't seem to let the stain absorb as good as I want to. So the brown paint works really well, just getting everything nice and even. And then you could take any ornament that you want and attach it right to the front. I love picking up these little words and adding them to things because it's so much easier than cutting something out with my Cricut or trying to cut wood down with a saw. But then attaching the ornament to the front and dressing it up, and then you can decorate your tree however you like. I just like to fill them in with some of these garland ties. Once again, it just makes everything look so much nicer when it's nice and full and you don't have a bare tree there. Adding the snow to the branches, and this is finished. This one looks a little bit more farmhouse, but you could definitely change it to fit your style, and I love adding a scarf to hide the bottom of the tree. Thank you all so much for checking out today's video. I had so much fun working with these little Dollar Tree trees. It's so fun picking out 1 or 2 items that you can completely make over and make them look like they're higher end decor pieces, but we know we only use dollar items or $1.25 items, $1.50 items to put them together. Thank you to HelloFresh for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget to go click the link down in the description box, or you can use my code KBKFM at HelloFresh.com. Make sure to get signed up and you can receive 10 free meals plus breakfast for life. I know you guys are going to love it. Give them a second chance if you haven't already, or if you're trying for your first time, that's even more exciting. I know you guys are going to love it. Please leave me a big thumbs up and I'll see you in the next one. Happy crafting. Bye.